Hi everyone, welcome to another video from our Ivy in the Inky Butterfly page. We're in our penultimate row now, so we're sort of moving along. It feels hardly any time since we started back in April, but this will take us through to I think nearly the end of May, so that's fun. Now this flower, I decided that I wanted to use some purples. I picked a couple of the slightly paler purples to use. So if you look at the tips, you can see we have the heather purple and the lavender. There are their ends. Now, my idea was to do this central part a little bit darker, and then this a little bit lighter with some darker hints on it. So I'm actually going to start with the heather purple and just concentrate on this very central area here. Okay, and my first idea is to just go over the whole thing very gently in quite an even layer. If you're not confident that you can do it evenly, then maybe don't do this step, but it won't hurt too much even if you can't. Mine isn't that even, to be honest. And then I'm going to work on each little one individually. We'll start with the center one, and what I want is to make it quite dark down in the bottom there and lighter towards the tip. And because we've already coloured it a little, we don't necessarily need to take our colour right to the tip, unless of course you skip that stage and you might want to just put a tiny bit of colour, but you could leave a bit white, it won't really matter. I say white, I don't think this paper's slightly creamy, isn't it? It's not white. I'm just working through each one to make sure. I find it a little bit easier to get that even sort of gradient of colour through. They're quite tricky to see, I have to admit. And working all the way around. Now, I'm just having a look at that, trying to decide whether I want to add any other colour, but I think we're okay. I was wondering whether to go in with an even darker purple, but I'm not sure it's going to show up really. We've got quite a lot of saturated colour in there already. Now, often I like to leave these bits, I often think that I'd like to leave these bits white, but leaving something white means that it might look like it's not been coloured in. However, I'm going to try and see what happens. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it white for now, and I'm going to grab my lavender and I'm going to do, I'm going to do these bits, and I'm just going to do a light even layer if I can. I thought I had drawn on the page then, sorry. I haven't. So nice and even, nice and light. There. So I was speaking to my parents on the phone this morning, and they were saying that we're going to have sunny weather for a few weeks now. So they were very happy, but I'm not too keen on too much sunshine, to be honest. I think I just get too overheated and uncomfortable. At this time of year it's not so bad though, but I like in bed to have a nice warm heavy cover and snuggly soft pyjamas and things like that, and lovely warm slippers, and so having to shed those when the weather changes doesn't really agree with me very well. Now we're going to have a look to the structure of the petal and the shape. I'm going to sneeze, excuse me. Sorry, that was a really loud sneeze. It was very lucky that I paused it. So we want to look at the shape and the line work, the shape of the edge and the lines. So on the edge of this petal we sort of got a line here, and I'm thinking that maybe it indicates that this bit's just slightly turned in. So I'm going to make that a little bit darker, just like that, really simple. Now here we have a dent and a line, and so I'm thinking that maybe this bit is bent inwards and it's sort of coming back up here, so it will lighten as it goes up there, with this bit being the bit closest to us. So again, a bit of shadow on this side of our petal, and you can see how it just takes a little bit of shape on, which is nice. And here we have another sort of shape, so I'm thinking again we can use Johanna's line to guide us here, and then add a little bit of shadow there and a little bit of there, just to emphasize that shape of that part. And underneath here again we have a line, we can just slightly put some shadowing in under there. Now I'm wondering whether here we should actually put a line in like that and just bring a bit of colour up each side of there as well. And there we have just gently shaped our petal. Yeah, and we can do the same thing with this one here. This one's slightly different. We've got it turned over a bit and we've got a tipped in bit. So let's have a think. I think there will be some shadow behind here. I'm going to pop a little bit in there. Take that down. And behind where this bit's turned, like that. And I actually think this would be a bit deeper and darker here compared with that bit there. Now we've got a bit here, so I'm thinking that bit's sticking out. So maybe, but is that bit as well? Maybe we've got a tiny dent in there. And then that sticks out. I've got a dent in there. That's what I'm wondering, and maybe that bit's just turned a little on the edge. It's a little trickier, that one, to work out what might be going on. And then we have this one, and here we'll concentrate first on putting some shadow under that turned over petal. I've got quite a straight edge here, so I'm not really sure that very much is going on, so I'm going to take that a bit darker and there. I'm just evening up my colour there. I didn't. Maybe this is a dark line here, and that bit there is sticking out a bit. This bit here, and same here. Maybe you can do that and make that bit be sticking out just a tad. There we go. Now I am going to do the greenery, which sits slightly behind, and then look at this white and decide what to do. Are we a bit dark? I turn my light up and then the camera adjusts down, so I'm not sure whether that's really helped. Okay, petals. I don't want them to take from the leaves. I don't want the leaves to take from the petals, but I need them to sit back a little bit. So I'm going to start with a darkish Viridian and work in here. Now we've got a line here, here and here. I've chosen to ignore that line. I'm just going to work around the edges of where I think the leaves would be, and put in a sort of darkish line and then fade that up towards the tip of the leaf like that. So we've got a sort of bit of shadowing going on. The same here, so a bit darker here and darker here, and then just fade that up. And exactly the same here. Now I was watching a video the other day showing how to colour white flowers. We've got some white here, and it was quite interesting because it talked about doing a background, which is what we've got effectively here. It's not background, but it's surrounded by colour because you need it to stand out from your white paper. So we've managed to do that, which is just coincidental and useful. But it also, I'm just going to choose I'm going to use the Castle Green Deep. Now this has got a really long point. I used my Derwent mini point, what's it called? Mini, oh I can't remember. Anyway, because it kept breaking, and the Derwent doesn't break pencils. So that was useful. Anyway, and another thing she was doing was using, because she was using watercolour, she was using really watery watercolour in a blue tone to give her highlights and shadows on her white. Now I'm going to need to do a little bit of work on this white, I think, but I'm not going to, I don't think I want to use blue. I'm looking towards my greys. I think I use the cool grey. See, I only have the 2 greys. I could do with a much lighter one. This grey isn't really light. And what I'm going to do is to just continue the shadows from that I've drawn in on the pink leaf with my grey, just a little bit, in places that where it sort of comes right down, like that. And so here where we've got a bit on the edges, there. And again here on the edge, carry that line down a little bit there and here. So it's really faint. Actually, I think I'd quite like to white out that line that's between them. I'm going to use my number 8 and see if I can get it to, even if it just fades down a little bit, I think it'll be better. It's a little bit too black for my liking. And we can actually, the white can almost looks like an eraser as the line just disappears. And although I can still see it, I think it looks a lot better being paler. And I think I might use some white pencil. I don't know how well the castle will show up. If it, I mean, go down on this creamy paper. We should have done the pen last, but hey ho, too late now. Okay, so that's disappeared a bit. I think that looks a lot better. Matter of opinion, you may not agree. And I'm going to grab the titanium white and just see whether I can colour in these bits in a bit of white. That titanium white is actually making it look creamer rather than whiter. But now I've started on one, I've got to do it across all of them. What I'm going to do is grab my, what's that? Yeah, this is a Caran d'Ache Luminance White. It's quite short, isn't it? I use it a lot. I'm just going to use that. It's actually making very little difference. I don't know whether I would bother, to be honest. I am going over the grey to try and fade it, but it's really it's made no difference at all. But I think whiting out those little lines has made quite a difference. So I am going to leave it there though. I think that's quite enough fiddling and faddling. I'm quite happy with how it looks, so I'm just going to leave it. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day and have a wonderful time whatever you're doing. Try to have some fun and some relaxation time, and happy colouring.